God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. How do we get sober? How do we go from hopeless, incomprehensible demoralization to happy, joyous, and free? God. That's how. You reach out to a higher power. You ask him to come into your life. Ask him to show you how to live clean and sober one day at a time. And he'll lead you into these recovery programs. And in these recovery programs, the how is an acronym: honesty, open-mindedness, and willingness. And it all starts with that honesty, being honest with yourself, that you have a problem, admitting that you're powerless, that your life has become unmanageable, and that you need help. And then becoming honest with other people, brutally honest. When we get into these steps, starts with that first step, admitting we're powerless. And then in that third step, you need to be brutally honest with yourself. Are you ready to make that decision to turn your will and your life over? Or do you still want to have some self-seeking and selfish desires? Are you really ready to live in God's will, or do you still want to live in your will a little bit? And then in that fourth step, being honest about those resentments and being honest about the role that you played in those relationships. And the fifth step, being honest with another human, leaving no stone unturned there when you're disclosing all that stuff. Because if you leave something in the closet, you never know if it can come back to haunt you down the road, And we're trying to get everything on the table here so that, nothing can take us out of our recovery. In that seventh step, are you really ready to have God remove all these defects of character? The ninth step, are you holding back any amends? So this whole program is about honesty. And 10th step too, taking a daily inventory. How are you acting in society? How are you dealing with other people? And you have to have a brutally honest program to be successful. Having that open-mindedness, the O, open-mindedness, that, you don't know everything, right? Come into this program with an open mind that you don't know how to get and stay sober, right? Countless vain attempts to do this on our own, like we're incapable of dealing with life on life's terms, and we're incapable of using drugs successfully or not using drugs successfully. So come into these rooms with an open mind and open ears and a closed mouth, and try to listen and hear that truth, hear that knowledge, hear what resonates with you. And if you do have an open mind, you will hear people tell your story, and you'll be like, whoa, that guy has gone through the same things I've gone through, or that girl. And man, if this guy can overcome it, maybe so can I. And the biggest thing is having an open mind to having a higher power. That's how we get sober. It's the only way. And some of us come into these rooms, we don't go to church, we didn't grow up in church, maybe we were never introduced to a higher power, or we had some other figures, false idols as higher power, and it never led us to any type of satisfaction. So having an open mind and an open heart and asking a higher power to come into your life, whatever that looks like for you. We don't discriminate. You can come in with any religion, doesn't matter. Christian, Muslim, Jewish, we take everybody. We're trying to lead you to a higher power, to lead you out of that dark place and lead you into the light. For me, my higher power is Jesus Christ. I think I didn't come into the rooms that way, but I feel like all paths lead to him if you have an open mind and an open heart. It's just my personal belief, but I'm not here to push that on anybody. I'm here to push you to a higher power. And then the W is willingness. Like willingness to get outside of your comfort zone. For me, just raising my hand and understanding, man, I got to do something different here. And having the willingness to admit I had a problem, having the willingness to be honest that I had a problem, having the willingness to go to these meetings with a room full of strangers and raise my hand and say, I need help. And then towards the end, willing to do whatever it takes to get and stay sober, having an open mind and a willing spirit, and working an honest program. That's how we do it. Uh, Being willing to take suggestions from your sponsor, you know, being willing to read the literature and get that information, because this is how we recover. It tells you how to do it right in here, um, you know, and being willing to get outside your comfort zone, meeting other people, building relationships in sobriety, being willing to do whatever it takes to stay sober. And sometimes that means cutting people out of your life. That means ending relationships, moving, whatever it takes, And sometimes that's not an easy thing to do, but it's the right thing to do. And we have to do it if we want to stay sober. Because, if we don't stay sober, we can't have anything else. Sobriety has to be the foundation of our life. Because if we don't put sobriety first, then that powerless comes back and, it comes to bite you in the butt. You think you can drink and use successfully, but you can't. So, having the willingness to do whatever it takes to stay sober, and then being willing to make this decision that we're just not going to use no matter what. Those are the two clubs we want to be in. The no matter what club and the willing to do whatever it takes club. We're just not going to drink or use no matter what happens. Good, bad, indifferent. We see people in these rooms, their children die. Worst possible case scenario, their children dies in their home. They're in recovery and they stay sober because they're just not going to use no matter what. They understand that drugs are not the answer to the way that they feel. They understand that doing drugs or alcohol is just going to make the situation worse, and they've given their life to a higher power and they've taken that seriously. And for us, that means we're not going back to that old way of life. We've repented, we've changed directions, and we're trying to align our will with God's will. And we don't always understand why things happen, like the death of loved ones, but we have faith that it is all in God's hands and He has a plan for it and He's in control. And even if it's not in our favor at the time, it's in God's favor in the end. And that takes trust and that takes a real walk of faith. But, that's the extreme end. But there's a lot of things in between there where we're just not going to use no matter what happens. We lose jobs, spouses, whatever you can think of. Drinking and using is not going to solve the issue. It's just going to make it worse. And that's really the truth of it. Sometimes it's easy to escape. You just want that quick fix. You want to get out of your head right now. But the truth is it's not worth it because you know where that's all going to take you back to. I want to read you a little piece about how it works from AA. Chapter 5, how it works. Rarely have we seen a person fail who has thoroughly followed our path. Those who do not recover are people who cannot or will not completely give themselves to this simple program. Usually men and women who are constitutionally incapable of being honest with themselves. There are such unfortunates. They are not at fault. They seem to have been born that way. They are naturally incapable of grasping and developing a manner of living which demands rigorous honesty. Their chances are less than average. There are those, too, who suffer from grave emotional and mental disorders, but many of them do recover if they have the capacity to be honest. Our stories disclose in a general way what we used to be like, what happened, and what we are like now. If you have decided you want what we have and are willing to go to any length to get it, then you are ready to take certain steps. At some of these we balked. We thought we could find an easier, softer way, but we could not. With all the earnestness at our command, we beg of you to be fearless and thorough from the very start. Some of us have tried to hold on to our old ideas, and the result was nil until we let go absolutely. Remember that we deal with alcohol, cunning, baffling, and powerful. Without help, it is too much for us, but there is one who has all power. That one is God. May you find him now. Half measures availed us nothing. We stood at the turning point. We asked his protection and care with complete abandon. And then it goes into the 12 steps. And, those 12 steps, there's 3 main things we do there. We trust God, we clean house, and we help others. That's how we get and stay sober. And at the end of the day, how we stay sober is by being of service. It's by walking other addicts through this program. It's by staying connected to the programs. It's by being of service in our daily life, through church or homeless outreach or, whatever you're called to do. But stay connected, stay positive, and just don't use no matter what. Thank you.
Victorious we became, but never forgot where we came from. Life or death, not a game. We came to change the lane. Recovery addicts, that's the name. Give yourself a break, just one day at a time. You were born to shine, so live and let love be forever. My sister, my brother, don't give in. Please remember, the lie is dead. We do recover. Welcome home.